What if I told you that you're not making money from trading, not because you're a bad trader, not because you have the wrong strategy, and not even because of your emotions, but simply because you have the wrong goals? What if all of this time you've only been focusing on the wrong thing? That sounds crazy. That's exactly what I did. I spent over 5 years trying to become a profitable trader, and I spent over $10,000 on Forex courses, and it turns out, in hindsight, many of that is only because I was focusing on the wrong things. I was setting the wrong goals. And this is something that I don't see anybody else talk about online. And once you learn it, I think, hopefully, it will dramatically transform your trading. So if you want to save $10,000 and become a profitable trader way faster than the 5 years that it took me, this is the video for you. And make sure you stick around until the very end, because I'm going to give you 3 actionable steps that completely changed my trading. Straightforward, but you need to know them. As traders, we all have one thing in common, and that is our goal. It is the reason why we got into trading, and that is to make money. But more specifically, it is to make a ton of money. That is our goal. That is our North Star, and it is what we're always working towards. But the problem is, having this goal, always striving towards that goal, actually might be doing more harm than good. Let me explain. From the very beginning of my trading journey, my goal was to always make just 4% every single week. By risking 2% a trade, I literally only needed to take 1 trade a week with a 2-to-1 risk reward to hit that 4% mark. Did I do it? Of course not. Sure, some weeks I made 4%, some weeks I made even more than 4%. But of course, the losses would come, as they naturally do. And I quickly realized that risking 2% a trade is simply too much if you're going to stay in this game long term. So, no problem. I cut my risk in half. I started risking only 1% per trade. Again, with the 2-to-1 risk to reward, that meant I needed only 1 winning trade a week to make 2% a week, which became my new goal. I always aimed to make 2% every single week. Now, of course, sometimes I succeeded. I'd have a great week. I'd have 1 winning trade, I'd make my 2%. Sometimes I would call it quits. Sometimes I would continue on and make 4%, 6%, 10% a week. It was fantastic. But of course, there were also other times, many times, when I failed, when I did not make my 2% a week, when I would lose 2%, when I would lose more, 4%, 6%, when I would blow my account early on in my trading days. But those weeks where I didn't hit that 2% target, I got frustrated. I set a goal and I failed. I was essentially, exactly, a failure. I set a goal and I did not make that 2% a week. And so that led to me being angry, getting emotional, getting frustrated, asking myself, what is it that I am doing wrong? Why am I not hitting my goal of making 2% a week? It seems so straightforward. I'm risking 1%. Why can't I just have 1 winning trade a week? It's simple. Well, unfortunately, having this goal set me up for a vicious cycle. After having a few losses and realizing that I was not hitting my goal, I would over risk, or I would flip strategies. I would strategy hop and try a completely new thing. And this led to, again, the vicious cycle of not making money, of trying something new, of just going around and around in circles. And before I knew it, I was 3 years into my trading journey, and I still hadn't really made any money whatsoever, basically just as lost as I was at the very beginning. But here's the thing. Out of all this frustration, all these years of losing money, of going around in circles, there was some success. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, and that is a lesson that I learned. The good news is, it turns out, not making 2% every single week was not my fault. In fact, not even making the 4% a week that I originally set out to make, that was not my fault. If you're in a similar situation to me and you have a similar goal of wanting to make 1, 2, 3, 5% a week, and you haven't been hitting it consistently, again, the good news here, I am here to tell you, it is not your fault that you're not hitting that goal. But here's the deal. The market does not care what you want. The market does not care what kind of goal you set. The market does not care if you want to make $1,000 or 5% every week or every month. No matter what goal you set, the market does not care. Picture this. Picture a theoretical situation where the market moves from Monday to Friday only 1 pip. For the entire week, the market has only moved a single pip. That's it. It has not moved anymore. From Monday to Friday, a single pip. If you have a goal of making 2% every week, that week, would you have made 2%? Of course not. Unless you risked 1,000% of your account and you got the right move in the market, that single pip. I still don't think that single pip would be 2%. It doesn't matter. But you know exactly what I'm saying. No, you would not have hit your goal. You would not have made your 2% or $1,000 that week. Question is that your fault? Is it your fault that you didn't hit your goal when the market only moved 1 pip? Obviously, of course not. No, it is not your fault. But now start to think about this example, start to think about what it means in terms of the bigger picture of the goal that you are setting. If the market doesn't care what your goal is, if the market doesn't care that you want to make 2% a week, then why are you even setting that goal? That is a goal that is completely outside of your control. And it brings us to the most important part of this video, the part where we come to figure out and determine, well, how do we actually set goals? And I've come to realize that there's two types of goals. There are input goals and there are output goals. An output goal is the goal that we have been discussing all along. It's what we want to get, what we want to receive for our hard work. For me, that was 2% a week. That was making a few $1,000s every single month. For you, it might be the exact same thing. It's what we want to get out of trading, how much money we want to have. Unfortunately though, 99% of traders set these goals. You see it on social media all the time. I want to make this much money. But the problem is, no matter how hard you work, no matter how well you follow your trading plan, because the market doesn't care about that goal, you could follow everything perfectly, your trading plan perfectly, and still not hit your goal, which means that achieving this goal is completely outside of your control. If you achieve the goal, I'm sorry, the reality is you didn't succeed because of you. The market just happened to move it in a way that was favorable to you. But the flip side of the coin is if you fail and you don't hit that 2% a week, it's also not your fault, okay? The market's gonna move how it wants. And that is why output goals, I think, are completely useless. Not only are they useless, I think they're dangerous. I think that they set traders up for complete failure, to go around in circles and get emotional because they're failing, but the failure has nothing to do with them. They're just setting the wrong goals. At the end of the day, we can shout to the heavens that we want to make more money. We can spend more time on the charts. If the market doesn't move according to how we need it to move, according to our trading plan, there's nothing we can do. The good news is, though, this brings us to the other side of the coin, which is input goals. And understanding input goals completely transformed my trading because all of a sudden, I only focused on things that were within my control. It was incredibly liberating because now, if I wanted to succeed as a trader, it was 100% dependent on me. It did not matter how the market moved. It did not matter any outside factors. Everything was 100% within my control. So the question is that you have to ask yourself, when it comes to your trading, what is it that is within your control? Let me give you a few examples of things that I put as my new goals. One was that every single day, I was going to be on the charts from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I put that in my calendar every day. No matter what, I would be on the charts from that time. Secondly, I wrote down that I would follow my trading plan perfectly, that I would execute it perfectly. Again, that's totally within my control. I said that I would only trade the 4-hour and daily time frames, and that I would only take trades that had 2 to 3 minimum confluences. So I use Fibonacci, trend lines, support and resistance, you name it. I needed to find a trade that had at least 2 to 3 confluences. Now, is that within my control? Of course. If I take a trade that only has one confluence that is a losing trade, that's on me. That's not the market's fault. Whereas if I follow everything perfectly and I don't make my 2%, well, that's really a reflection of the market, not a reflection of how well or how poorly I did. So I highly recommend at this point that you figure out all of the variables that are within your control when it comes to your trading. What looks like a perfect trading plan to you? What would a perfect trading week in terms of execution look like for you, or a perfect trading day? What kind of setup do you need to find that would be absolutely perfect? Disregard all of the outputs, because at the end of the day, if you perfectly execute your trading plan, you're much more likely to make money, which is the output goal. But forget that, it's outside of our control. So figure out what it is that's within your control, and then you can go from there. And this brings us to a very important part, which is 3 actionable steps that you could take that will actually massively improve your goal setting, and as a result, your trading as well. The first one is a system that I learned after about 5 years of trading that massively improved specifically my trading psychology, and that is to set and forget. For me, I always used pending orders. They're not necessary for this system, but they do help a tremendous amount. But essentially, the entire system is exactly as the name suggests. It's to set your trade, to set your take profit and stop loss levels, and to just walk away. Forget about the trade. Allow your trade to do exactly what it wants to do. If it's going to hit your take profit, let it hit the take profit. If it's going to hit your stop loss, let it run to your stop loss. It means no touching, no manipulating your trade whatsoever. Just let it run. And it made a huge difference in my trading because it forced me to actually follow my trading plan, to not mess with trades, both winning and losing. One way to help with this is if you take your regular lot size and you can't help but look at the screen, look at your phone, take a position half the size of what you normally take. If that's still too much, if you're still obsessed with the trade and looking all over the place, again, cut it in half. If you take a 0.01 lot trade, well, it's really easy to walk away. It's really easy to forget about it. So if you have to go all the way down to that, by all means, do it, and you can build up from there. It's a very powerful process that I've done and I still do to this day, and I hope it makes a huge difference in your trading. The second is to not consume what 90% of traders consume. At Lark Funding, our pass rate is roughly 15%, which I believe is above industry standard. But that means that only 15 traders out of 100 traders that sign up are going to get that funded account. So if 90% of traders fail, shouldn't we not consume the same content that 90% of traders consume? In my opinion, yes. So while some trading books were valuable early on in my journey, I found the best bang for my buck from content that came outside from trading, whether that was Stoicism Meditations by Marcus Aurelius or this other great psychology book called The Road Less Traveled. It has absolutely nothing to do with trading. But I think consuming content outside of trading, of getting peripheral ideas that other traders aren't looking at, are incredibly valuable. If most traders fail, why do you want to take advice from those traders? And again, yes, there's some great content and some great advice online, but it can be tough to know who is legit, who is truly making money from trading. And so I recommend that you be cautious in that sense and maybe look to the side, left and right, up and down, from different industries, and taking snippets and nuggets of value and wisdom and apply it to your trading that way. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a very simple tip, but it is one that to this day I always remind myself of. It can't get much more simple than this, but it has helped me tremendously, and that is to only take the trades that are A+ setups. Why are you taking a trade that does not perfectly fit your trading plan? Why are you taking a trade that if it turns into a loss, you're going to say to yourself right away, I shouldn't have taken it? Trust me, if you only take A+ setups, not only are you going to have more wins, but the losses will be so much easier to digest because you know that it fit perfectly into your trading plan and that losses are just a part of the game. If you made it this far, truly, we appreciate it. We appreciate all of your ongoing support at Lark Funding. If you need a dose of encouragement, check out this video here where you will see the interview from our #1 funded trader who received over 50% or roughly 50% of the average US salary, $30,000 in just 3 weeks. Tons of great nuggets in it. Check out this video right here. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace.